In the final days of the Republic, Padme Amidala, heartbroken and desperate, chased after Anakin Skywalker to the fiery world of Mustafar. Unbeknownst to her, Obi-Wan Kenobi had hidden aboard her ship, leading to the duel that sealed Anakin's fate. But what if Padme never made that trip immediately? What if she stayed behind and everything changed? Without Padme's arrival, Mustafar was silent. The Separatist leaders lay dead at Anakin Skywalker's feet, their bodies scattered across the obsidian floors of the fortress. The air reeked of scorched metal and burnt flesh, the final echoes of blaster fire fading into the volcanic winds outside. He had done it, ended the war, crushed the last threats to his new empire. All for her, for Padme, but there was no ship in the distance, no soft footsteps rushing to embrace him, only the hiss of lava and the hum of his own lightsaber fading as he shut it down. Obi-Wan never came. No duel, no words of betrayal, no severed limbs or searing hatred to finish what the dark side had started. Anakin stood alone, cloaked in the blood of those he had once sworn to protect. And though the dark side surged within him, feeding on his pain, somewhere, deep, buried beneath anger and fear, the boy who had once dreamed of saving everyone still clung to life. Twisted by the Sith's wicked games, but not yet fully lost. Not yet. The duel between Yoda and Darth Sidious had ended the same way it always had, with the Dark Lord clinging to power and the light slipping further into darkness. Victorious, but wounded in pride, Palpatine wasted no time. He left the ruins of the Senate behind, boarding his shuttle and setting course for Mustafar. Not to save Anakin Skywalker. No, that future had never come to pass. Padme had never arrived. Obi-Wan had never challenged him. There was no lava-ravaged body to rescue. Palpatine went to congratulate his new apprentice, the Iron Fist who would help him rule the galaxy. He landed amidst the hellish landscape, stepping onto blackened stone as molten rivers cracked and boiled below. The heavy air stank of death. The Separatists were gone. Anakin had wiped them out with brutal precision. Palpatine smiled beneath his hood.
"My apprentice,"
he called out, voice echoing across the fortress.
"You have done well."
Anakin emerged from the shadows, silent. His robes were scorched and torn. His eyes, once vibrant with hope, now burned a deep, unnatural yellow. But it was the stillness that Palpatine noticed. The way Anakin moved like a predator sizing up its prey, not a servant greeting his master. Anakin stopped a few steps away, his hand twitching slightly at his side. For a moment, neither spoke. The lava behind them bubbled and roared.
"You have fulfilled your destiny,"
Palpatine said, extending a withered hand.
"Together, we will bring order to the galaxy."
Anakin didn't move. Instead, the dark side surged through him like a storm, crackling beneath his skin. Fury, guilt, betrayal, every life he had taken, every crime he had committed, all of it Palpatine's design. All of it for nothing. Anakin didn't need him anymore. He had all the power he needed. The Sith had made sure of that. Without warning, Anakin struck. Palpatine's smile faltered. Just for a moment, Anakin charged. He came like a hammer, not the measured, balanced strikes of a Jedi, but wild, brutal swings meant to kill. Palpatine's crimson blade ignited just in time to block the first crushing blow, but the force of it drove him back 2 steps across the platform. The duel was chaos from the start. Anakin pressed forward with devastating strength, his blue saber slamming into Palpatine's defenses again and again. Palpatine countered with speed, parrying, twisting away, looking for an opening to turn Anakin's fury against him. But Anakin was beyond reason now.
"You used me!"
Anakin roared, punctuating every word with a savage strike. Their sabers clashed and sparked, lighting the platform with bursts of energy as the wind screamed around them. Palpatine ducked under a vicious swing, slashing low, catching Anakin across the thigh. Anakin staggered, grimacing, but didn't fall. Instead, he surged back with a 2-handed overhead strike that forced Palpatine to block. the impact sending vibrations through the platform. Palpatine twisted his fingers, summoning a blast of force lightning from his free hand. The storm of blue bolts crashed against Anakin's saber, but he gritted his teeth, powered through it, step by agonizing step. The lightning hissed against the blue blade, and Anakin roared as he shoved it back toward its source, breaking through. Palpatine broke off, leaping backward across the platform, the hem of his robe catching fire briefly from the molten heat. They circled each other, one old and cunning, one young and furious.
You are nothing without me.
Palpatine sneered, voice slicing through the howling wind.
You have no purpose but what I gave you.
Anakin's blue saber flashed again, and the duel reignited. This time, Palpatine tried to turn the tide, ducking low, moving fast, cutting shallow, painful lines across Anakin's arms and ribs. Anakin's strikes were slowing under the weight of his injuries, his breathing harsh. For a heartbeat, it seemed Palpatine had the upper hand. He lashed out with a spinning kick, knocking Anakin's saber high and thrust forward, aiming for Anakin's heart. Anakin barely twisted aside, the red blade grazing his side, and countered with a savage elbow to Palpatine's jaw. The Sith Lord stumbled. Anakin didn't wait. He slammed into Palpatine, driving him backward across the landing pad with a relentless storm of blows, the blue blade a blur of rage and sorrow. Palpatine fought to regain control, using the Force to hurl broken debris at Anakin, to blind him with smoke and ash. But Anakin tore through it all. Their blades locked again, faces inches apart, sweat and blood streaking their skin.
You turned me into this.
Anakin growled, voice ragged.
You made me a monster.
Palpatine grinned through gritted teeth.
And you loved it.
Anakin howled and broke the lock, swinging low, forcing Palpatine to leap back. The Sith Lord stumbled on the cracked surface, and Anakin was already moving, bringing his saber around in a brutal arc. Palpatine barely caught the strike, but the force behind it drove him to one knee. The Emperor of the Galaxy knelt before the Chosen One. Palpatine lashed out again with the Force, desperate, sending a shockwave that hurled Anakin backwards toward the edge of the platform. Anakin slid across the scorched steel, boots scraping, barely catching himself before tumbling into the rivers of lava below. Both men rose slowly, exhausted, battered, but unbroken. The wind ripped at their torn robes. The storm raged around them, and again, they clashed. The final exchange was brutal, pure instinct, no form, no strategy. Blue and red blades slashing, stabbing, parrying at blinding speed. Anakin drove Palpatine back step by step, the blue light of his saber burning brighter than the fires below. Palpatine tried to spin, to sidestep, to break away, but Anakin was faster. A savage overhead strike knocked Palpatine's lightsaber flying from his hand, the crimson blade deactivating mid-air as it clattered across the steel. Palpatine fell backward, hitting the ground hard. Before he could move, Anakin stomped down on his chest, pinning him in place, and raised his blue lightsaber high, the blade humming inches from the Sith Lord's face. Palpatine, master of the Sith, architect of 1,000 betrayals, stared up at the boy he had broken, and for the first time in decades, pure terror gripped him. The blue blade of Anakin's saber crackled above Palpatine's face, the storm winds howling, the molten rivers raging below. Palpatine's yellow eyes, wide with terror, darted between the saber and the face of the Chosen One, broken, bleeding, and furious. Anakin's hands tightened around the hilt. He was 1 second away from ending it all. But then, a voice cut through the chaos.
Anakin!
Soft, shaken, full of life. Anakin froze. Out of the smoke, Padme emerged, her hair wild in the volcanic wind, her body wrapped in a protective cloak, cradling a tiny newborn against her chest. At her side stood Obi-Wan Kenobi, solemn, battered, holding the other twin close. Behind them, small but unyielding, came Master Yoda, staff in hand, cloak billowing like a shadow. Anakin's breath caught in his throat. The blue glow of his saber wavered. His arms trembled. Padme was alive. Their children were alive. Not visions, not dreams, reality. Everything he had fallen for, everything he had burned the galaxy for, right here, breathing, watching him.
Anakin,
Obi-Wan said quietly, almost pleading.
don't.
If strike him down in hatred, you do. Forever claimed by the dark side, you will be.
The platform trembled beneath Anakin's boots. The lava wind screamed louder. Palpatine's ragged breathing was the only sound between them. Anakin looked down at his former master, and for the first time saw him clearly, not a god, not a savior, just a weak, broken thing. Anakin's saber hummed. Then slowly, shakily, he lowered it. Padme's eyes met his across the platform, full of hope, full of fear, full of love. The child in her arms gave a soft, innocent cry. Anakin took a step toward them, and in that moment, the dark side within him recoiled. It screamed to act, to finish it, to destroy. And Palpatine, sensing Anakin's hesitation, seeing the opening, struck. With a twisted snarl, Palpatine raised both hands, gathering a storm of dark energy, and unleashed it toward Anakin's exposed back. But Yoda was faster. The Grand Master of the Jedi didn't hesitate. With a sudden snap of his fingers, Yoda ripped his lightsaber from his belt with the Force and hurled it like a spear across the platform. The green blade ignited mid-flight, a beam of pure light, and before Palpatine's attack could land, the saber punched clean through the Dark Lord's chest. Palpatine froze, his mouth open in shock, a choked gasp escaping his lips. He staggered, clutching at the burning green blade protruding from his chest, and then he collapsed onto the platform, lifeless. The storm seemed to still for a heartbeat. The lava roared. The galaxy held its breath. Anakin stared down at the fallen Sith, his chest heaving, his heart pounding. It was over. The monster who had destroyed the Republic, who had nearly destroyed him, was dead, and standing before him, bathed in the firelight, was his family, alive, waiting.